Dear Redditors, what's the stupidest reason you got in trouble in school? In 7th grade English class, a classmate looked pretty sad, so I asked her how she was doing. No malicious intent, just wondering what was making her so upset, but she started sobbing. I apologized and moved on. Later that day, I get pulled from a different class by a math teacher that I've never met before, who yelled at me in the hallway making snide remarks about my parents and their parenting capacity. She made me sit in front of the principal's office to wait for the principal to talk to me for 4 hours, long after the school day has ended. When the principal finally did show up, he had no idea why I was sitting there. Middle school me was too shy to make a fuss about it, but in hindsight, I should have made a complaint against her. To this day, the girl that I supposedly bullied has no idea why the math teacher flipped out at me for using my asthma medication in class. I was told to keep my inhaler in the office and to use it in there only. I was told it was distracting. Know what else is distracting? The sounds of someone gasping for air and having to be removed from class. Grad school, as in full-grown adult. One of my patients was a chill guy. We had one of those relaxed relationships. He would fist bump me after treatment was completed. The Dean of Academic Affairs did not like that. Got a 45-minute lecture on doctor-patient relationship. And how dare I violate that trust with a fist bump? Someone once poked a wasp nest in the school forest, and the whole swarm came out upon the school. The entire school sat detention for an hour. Understandable if you don't know who did it, but that's not the problem. We were sitting detention because the principal's son got stung. As it eventually turned out, it was actually his fault the swarm came down on us. I have cursed his name since the day I found out. There was an unexpected whole-school assembly grade school. We were all brought to the gym and sat down. It was then explained that one of us had pooped on the gym stage behind the mats. We know who did it, but we are giving them this opportunity to stand up and apologize. If you don't, then we'll have to punish you harder. A. Even to us kids, it was obvious they had no fucking clue who did it. B. Ordering a kid to stand up in front of the whole school and apologize for shitting on the stage is not how you get the kid to admit they did it. 11th grade, I had gotten pink eye in both eyes. I'd never had it before, just thought I was having a reaction to my eyeliner or whatever. I was in second period, cooking 101. My teacher kept looking at me funny the entire class. Eventually, she asked to talk to me in the hallway. She told me that I needed to go to the nurse's office because I was stoned, and she could tell by how fascinated I was with the cooking we were doing. I was so confused and kept trying to tell her I was having some sort of allergic reaction, but she wasn't having it, and yelled at me, told me to grab my things and go now. Pretty much berated me while the whole class could hear and had me so frustrated, embarrassed, I was in tears. Walked into the classroom, everyone was staring at me in silence, grabbed my stuff, and went to the nurse. One look at me and she confirmed the pink eye. Gotta go home and stay home for a few days? I remember my teacher tried to apologize for the incident. Class was super awkward after that. Not looking at the teacher during lesson. I wasn't fidgeting, just sitting at my desk, staring into space. We had a payment system in 3rd grade where you'd get dollars for good behavior, finishing homework, cleaning up after lunch, and lose them for bad behavior. At the end of each quarter, we'd get to use the dollars to buy shit at the book fair. Every kid wanted to stock up. Now each task would get you between $1 to $2. Each day you could only get like 3 max. She charged me $20. It was literally heartbreaking and took me a full month to recover. Turns out I had focal epilepsy and was having episodes in class. Got treated like a shitty kid for it all through high school. Edit. For those of you asking, everyone's epilepsy is unique to them. Mine is caused by a cavernous hemangioma on my right frontal lobe glamour shot of my noggin for illustration. The location of the mass makes it hard to pinpoint exactly how my seizures manifest, because we don't know as much about the frontal lobe as we do the rest of the brain. If you're curious about specifics, I'd be happy to share my experiences, but again, no two epileptics are completely alike, so I can only speak for me. This is precisely what was going through my mind as I handed her the $20. I got in trouble for cheating on one of my math exams. The teacher found a piece of paper in my pencil case. I got sent to the principal's office. When the principal asked me about what I wanted to say in my defense, I simply told him to take a look at the note. It turned out to be a shopping list. I was allowed to retake the exam the following week. In 1993, the Flaming Lips song She Don't Use Jelly came out. I was in 3rd grade and I really liked that song, and started signing it with my friends during a double-handed jump roping session. She don't use jelly or any of these she uses Vaseline. Boom. Written up. 3-day suspension for saying sexually suggestive things. I had no idea that was meant sexually. Worse even, no one would explain why that song was sexually suggestive. It was very confusing. Back in high school, had a gym teacher that wished to be any teacher other than gym teacher. Come the driver's ed course. There's some bullshit 3-page pamphlet she tells us to read through and summarize. I do just that. She decides my summary of a short-ass pamphlet is too close to something she found online, so she makes a big huff about it, and I literally have to march over to my English teacher with the summaries, have her evaluate them, and sign off on a form that no, she didn't classify my summary of a bullshit short pamphlet being somewhat similar to any other summary of a bullshit short pamphlet classified as plagiarism or was any cause to pursue further action. I tripped on a loose tile and bumped into a teacher, causing her to spill her coffee on herself. I apologized and showed her the tile. She went on for months about how I did it on purpose, even got the principal and my folks involved. For the rest of the year, she told me I couldn't come back to her class unless I apologized for doing it on purpose. Never went back to her class. Though I initially apologized for the incident, I never once apologized for doing it on purpose. Fuck you, Ms. Helm. I threw a closed pen to my friend who was like 3 feet away from me, and the teacher freaked out. He made a big deal out of it in front of the whole class for a solid 5 minutes, and then emailed my parents. Luckily, my mom was able to see my side of things, and she said, "Doesn't that teacher have better thing to do than email me about my child throwing pens?" We still laugh about it from time to time. First, I did many things to get in trouble legitimately. I went undiagnosed with ADHD inattentive type for a long time, because I would laser focus on schoolwork and get done quickly, then get bored and disrupt everyone else. The secretaries in my elementary school office knew me on sight when I went back to visit in high school, but there were a couple times that were questionable. Clapping. In 4th grade, I learned you can clap louder by having the fingers on one hand go into the palm of the other. I was part of a mini concert for our extremely talented strings students. Oh yeah, hot cross buns. And I was kicked out and sent to the office because I clapped along with everyone else. But a teacher felt I was being disruptive, abusing my newfound power. It was decades ago, so I really can't say if I was being a jerk or not. Sneezing. I sneezed several times and like a duck quacking. I got it from my grandfather, who did the same. If those things are hereditary, I can try to hold it in, but then it looks like I'm having a seizure. Our middle school science teacher immediately tried to give me ISS when I sneezed for the first time, and it took the whole class vouching for me before she relented. After that, people would just pause for me to finish, and I'd apologize. The stupidest reason someone tried to get me in trouble was for doing the assignment. There was a special needs kid in my programming class, and he had an assistant. She thought I was goofing off on the internet and asked me to stop. I told her I was just working on the project. She didn't believe me, so she went to the teacher, who recognized that I was indeed working on the project. So nothing came of it. The stupidest reason someone succeeded in getting me in trouble was when we had this sub. He insisted on reading the day's instructions very slowly. It was a work day, and that was written on the board, but he took a half hour to describe exactly what the different projects we were working on were. The problem was that we all knew what we were supposed to do, so we got started. He got pissed that we weren't listening to him, so he yelled at us and started over with his speech. Eventually, he got so pissed that he ate up another half hour ranting about how he's an industry big shot and all the different reasons why he'd fire us if he could. Anyway, I had him as a substitute a couple other times, and he was much better tempered, so I assume that was a fluke. In middle school, the bell to send us home didn't go off on time. We were all standing by the door waiting to leave when all the other classrooms started leaving to go home. The hallways were filled and teachers were telling people goodbye, so my classroom started to leave too. I was one of the first ones out, but apparently our teacher caught the end half of the class and made them sit down and tell them everyone who walked out the door because I dismiss you, not the bell. So all of us who left like the rest of the school got detention. Didn't tie my shoes the way the PE instructor wanted me to, in 11th grade. Sat in the dean's office for an hour before they called my mom, whose response I still remember. "You're calling me during my workday to ask my son to tie his shoes in a way that a PE teacher feels suitable? Are you fucking kidding me?" I played 8AA hockey at the time along with varsity lacrosse. PE class was the least of my worries, let alone how my shoes were tied. Safe to say I didn't have to retie my shoes. Clearing my throat before reading out loud to the class. She yelled at me and threatened detention because she thought I was faking it for attention, but I don't see how. Also, more context, I was a quiet kid, so I wasn't one to create drama to begin with, It just made me not want to talk more than I already didn't want to. Edit. Bruh, this blew up a lot. Shout all to all my quiet and awkwardly shy homies out there who feel the pain of being reprimanded for the rare times we actually do talk. First one, I was waving my fingers to try to get a stuck sticky paper off of it. The principal was passing my class and saw me through the door. He thought I was throwing rocks in a class at the back of my friend's head. I got suspended for that. Second one, my math teacher, when I was 14 years old, had something against me. At the beginning of each class, she would ask me to go into the corridor for 15 minutes. That was her idea of a punishment. She didn't even bother to find a reason. I just had to get out. My elementary school, they didn't really have any stuff to play with outside, so we would play with sticks, rocks, pine cones, etc. But they didn't like that, so they would send us to sit at the wall for all of recess, if we got caught. It was weird. When I was in the 8th grade, we had, for one day, a substitute teacher in our Portuguese class. She had the job to make us do a little text about what we thought it would be the best invention ever. I made it about toilets. We delivered the papers 10 minutes after. As she was reading them, she would make comments like, too much commas, or, this needs more paragraphs. As soon as she got to mine, she stopped speaking, demanded one kid to go and get the principal. The principal comes, reads the text, also get furious, picks me up, drags me into his office. In there, he and the substitute called my mom. Made her do 30 kilometers in a traffic-filled city. When she arrived, she read the text and started laughing. Like legit crying and grabbing onto her stomach. They got so mad at my mom for laughing instead of taking it seriously that the principal suspended me for 1 week. Call of Duty and no homework for 1 week thanks to my mom. Hey, thanks for watching. If you liked this video, make sure to check out the video on screen. And don't forget to like and subscribe for more daily Reddit stories.